What's going on YouTube? So Chevy has introduced reincarnated versions of their old nameplates, and one of those is this Chevy Trailblazer, which of course is not anything like the original Trailblazer, but it has instead came back as a subcompact crossover. This is an all-new product for 2021, and what we have with us today is the fully loaded Activ trim level. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into the review and see if this is the best subcompact crossover money can buy. So when it comes to this Trailblazer, Chevy has really made sure to pack a lot of personality into this small size, and each of the trim levels themselves also have their own unique personality. So with the Activ model, what it's emphasizing is kind of a more rugged look. So what you'll notice up here in the front as compared to the other trim levels is the fact that we have more black cladding here on the lower areas of the fascia. And then the upper part of the fascia is going to be a little bit more compressed, although it still does have that signature Chevy look. Now, as we come over here to the headlights, you'll notice a lot of influence from the Chevy Blazer with this split design. The headlights themselves are going to be halogen across all of the models as standard equipment. However, on this upper end model, you can option on LED headlights if you want, but you still also have an LED daytime running light up here at the top, and an LED fog light down here at the bottom. Continuing the fashionable look here with our wheels, we have a 17-inch contrast alloy on this Activ model. As you can see, really nice look to it. You can get up to an 18-inch alloy if you choose the RS trim level. And you do have this black cladding around the wheel arches as well. And as we come up here to the mirrors, you'll notice something unique. We have a white mirror cap with this Activ that's going to be matching with the white roof, which Mason will talk about in just a second. Then as far as the mirrors themselves, they're going to be heated, and we also have the optional blind spot monitoring system.
Now this is one of the most stylish offerings you can get in the entire segment, and a lot of that has to do with what they've done here at the side. So this piece right here is always going to be blacked out regardless of what model you get. However, as you're probably noticing on this one, we have the white roof, which has a really cool contrast to this blue paint. I really quite like this in person. You can also get a bronze roof for the Activ model, and if you go for the RS, you can choose between a black or red roof. Now moving around to the rear design itself is just basically a miniaturized Blazer, which is certainly a good thing since that's a very stylish vehicle. And as far as the taillights are concerned, if you go for the Activ or RS model, they are going to be partially LED. The brake light as well as this accenting is LED. However, the turn signal and reverse light are still going to be incandescent. And then if we drop down further, we do have some nice chrome trim as well as exposed exhaust outlets on those same two models. Now, even though this is one of the least expensive Chevys in their entire lineup, they are going to throw in 3 out of 4 of the safety systems standard across the board. So that's going to be forward emergency braking and pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, and auto high beam headlamps. Additionally, if you go for the LT trims or higher, that's also going to throw in adaptive cruise control. Well guys, as you can see, this Trailblazer is certainly a very stylish vehicle on the outside. Now let's go ahead and check out that interior before we take it out in a spin. And before we do all of that, we would certainly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below.
So most of the Trailblazers, including this Activ model, will come standard with a smart entry system. As you can see, we also have remote start right there on the fob. And then again, inside the vehicle itself, there's not a sensor behind the handle, so you'll just press the silver button. Okay, and taking our first look inside of the cabin, as you can see, it does have a very nice look to it that actually looks surprisingly expensive, which is especially notable in a subcompact crossover. Now, going into your different interior color and material selections, most of the models come with cloth seating in your choice of jet black or gray cloth. However, the Activ as well as the RS models, those come standard with this jet black leatherette seating. As you can see, we do have some brown accents throughout the cabin for this Activ model as well. And then turning over here to your door trim, you're going to notice a very nice one. We have a padded material for the armrest portion, and then above that we have a really nice looking cloth trim that goes all through here with the color contrast stitching detail, and then you've got your bronze accenting up above that. As far as your windows, they're going to be one-touch auto up and down for the driver only, auto down for all the other three. And then coming down to the seats, these are 10-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support. And like I was already mentioning, this is a leatherette seat. Really like the design behind this though. As you can see on the side, we kind of have this unique design. We also have a cloth insert which matches with the door trim, and then a double color contrast stitching detail. Let's go ahead and take a look around at our cabin materials. Like I mentioned, they are quite nice for a subcompact crossover, but of course, being a lower price crossover, you will still have some cheaper materials. So across our upper dash, this will be hard touch, but this center area here, this is actually all a soft touch leatherette material with a cool texture to it. It also has a color contrast stitching detail, and that goes all around through here. Around our screen, as well as some of our lower areas, we have this dark gray trim, which I think looks nice. And then all the fit and finish in here is really nice. There's no panel gaps or anything like that, and it feels nice and solid. Now to start up the LT trim and above, put your foot on the brake and press the button. So after it starts up, what you have is a kind of a traditional looking gauge cluster. So you have, of course, your analog gauges. We have a small multifunction display right there in the middle, which contains all the expected kinds of information. You can get a larger 4.2-inch multifunction display as an available option. And then coming back to the steering wheel, standard on this Activ model is a nice leather wrap steering wheel with the silver accents. As far as the wheel itself, of course, it is going to be manual tilt and telescoping, and heating is not available. Okay, so now let's go ahead and dig into interior storage next, because even though this is a subcompact crossover, I think it does a pretty good job with storage. So underneath our center console to start off with, we have a small storage bin. However, this can be completely removed, and you can throw that off to the side. And then once inside, this is actually a very deep storage area. You do have a nice rubber lining down at the bottom as well. And when we grab out our stack of coupons here, looks like we can just slightly fold them in half and they fit in there absolutely no problem at all, which is not necessarily a given in a subcompact. Now in front of that we have another deep cubby for just general storage. We have 2 cup holders, and then in the front once again you have another cubby which is quite large, does have a rubber lining down at the bottom of it, and you can option on wireless charging if you want. Above that you have, regardless, 2 USB ports, an aux jack, and a 12-volt outlet. Now taking a look here at the shifter, this is just a traditional one, so pull back for drive. You can do some manual shift simulations through these little toggles here, but there are not any paddles on the steering wheel, of course. And then heading into reverse. What you'll notice on this specific example is the standard backup camera. There's actually 2 different resolutions offered, so if you choose the technology package, you get the higher definition version. But even on this model, we still have the active trajectory, and we also have parking sensors as part of the driver confidence package. And then back behind the shifter, you have your electronic parking brake. Now moving up the dashboard, the next part is of course your climate controls. We have the optional single zone automatic setup. Of course, you just adjust the temperature with this one knob right here off the side, your fan speed on the opposite side, and you have your physical controls all located in between. You will also notice the 3-stage heated seats. Those are included on the LT model and above as standard equipment. And then up above that we have our volume knob. So there's several different speaker setups that you can get. What we have is a 6-speaker standard sound system. If you choose the technology package, you can get a Bose premium sound system, but we'll go ahead and sample this standard version. So overall quality of this system is really nice, actually. You know, I really don't imagine that the average person is going to need to upgrade to that Bose sound system, because this is more than adequate for this small cabin size. Okay, so now let's shift our attention above that to our main display. So there are two different displays that you can get with this model. Standard is going to be a 7-inch display. We've got the optional 8-inch display as part of the convenience package. And this is a really nice display. One of the reasons why is because, look at that, we have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. That's certainly an unexpected feature, really, among any type of car, but especially on an affordable subcompact crossover. Obviously, this is where you can navigate inside of Google Maps, because there is not a built-in navigation system available on this model. And as you can see, this is your standard Chevy Infotainment 3 system. Now jumping on up, that convenience package does throw in an auto dimming mirror. And then up at the very top here, we do not have a moonroof on this specific example. However, a panoramic sunroof is optional on the LT trim and above via the sun and liftgate package.
Alrighty, so I'm sitting in the Trailblazer's rear seat, and the first thing I just want to mention is, wow, there is a lot of space. Now, this is something you really don't expect out of this segment of vehicle, and as far as the legroom figures themselves, they're going to come in at 39 inches of rear legroom, 38 inches of rear headroom, which just places it as larger than the Seltos, which is also larger than pretty much everything else in the segment. So this is a very, very large amount of space. And behind rear seating position, I would say probably 3 to 4, maybe 5 inches of rear legroom, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat, so space isn't really going to be an issue back here. Now, as far as the feature set you're going to get, vents are not available on any Trailblazer. However, if we go down, we have a little storage cubby, and if we lift this thing down, that reveals a household style outlet as well as a charging USB and a USB Type-C. We can also fold the center armrest down to reveal cup holders as well as an armrest. Now, walking up to the tailgate, we do have a manual one on this model. However, it is available if you option on a package to get a hands-free power one. And as far as the space itself is concerned, we're going to have 25 cubic feet behind the second row seats. That expands all the way up to 54 cubic feet if you fold them down. That is one of the largest offerings in the entire segment. However, it is still a little bit less than the Kia Seltos, but a lot of space back here. Very impressed by this. And as far as how they finished it, we have a carpeting along the floor, and then if we lift it up, we do have a spare tire. On both the left and right side, we have a tiny little storage cubby, and the seats do fold 60-40 split, and you can do that by just lifting up and pushing forward the seat. Now, the passenger seat, not surprisingly, is going to be manually adjusting, and if we open up the glove box, I'm very impressed by this as well. Continuing with what I've said throughout this entire section, this is a lot larger than what I would expect out of this segment of vehicle, so that means it does fit in our coupons. The most important part, obviously, fits them in very well, and then we can look up top. We'll find a sun visor with gently fading in LED lights as well as a mirror, and we can also detach and extend.
And that was our trip up to 60 miles per hour in this Trailblazer. So there's actually two different motors that you can get with this model. We actually have the more powerful one, since it's standard on the Activ. It's the 1.3 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, and it's making 155 horsepower, 174 pound-feet of torque. I think power actually felt pretty good getting up to speed. I mean, this is a class where most things are, you know, pretty low powered, generally speaking. But you know, this seem to have enough oomph, especially in the torque, to get things moving reasonably fast.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to knock your socks off, but it is a lot better. We sampled the LT earlier in the year, and that has 137 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque out of its 1.2 liter turbo 3-cylinder.
And another thing I noticed about this is the engine is quite quiet as well. Even though it's a 3-cylinder, it doesn't make much noise. Now let's go ahead and talk about the transmission situation, because this is a little bit interesting. You have two different transmissions depending on if you choose front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, so might as well go ahead and point out you have standard front-wheel drive, available all-wheel drive. If you choose the available all-wheel drive, you're going to get a 9-speed automatic transmission. You'll notice that's not what we have. We have a continuously variable transmission because this particular model is front-wheel drive. As far as this transmission, it does perform, reasonably well, just like a typical continuously variable transmission. There's not like any shift simulation that I'm noticing or anything like that. But when you put your foot down, you do seem to get response pretty quickly.
And I do want to take a second to mention, now that we're up to speed here, just the ride quality and all of that with this Trailblazer. Now, as you would expect out of a vehicle in this segment, it's not going to be like super duper smooth, but this is totally adequate for the segment. I think I can feel a few little road imperfections when we go over top of it, but it's nothing too jarring or anything like that. And I will get a sound level reading going 55 here for us to sample. And we're looking at 58.5 decibels. We're going a little bit slower than 55 there, and it is really windy outside though, so keep that in mind.
Okay, so let's do today's slam dunk. I think that's really clearly, for me, the exterior design. This is a really nice looking subcompact crossover. There's kind of some weird looking vehicles in this class, but I think this is like stylish and also handsome, and not in a controversial way like some of the competition. Yeah. Now, on the other side, we have our airball. That today is going to be the pricing, and Mason will go ahead and jump right in and give us some pricing information, but let's just say it's a little bit steep for this category of vehicle. Yeah. With the features that you get.
Yeah, so this one, as equipped, is going to come in at $27,460 with the $995 destination charge. That's pretty steep for this segment, especially to be missing out on quite a few features like moonroof and LED headlights. You are missing out on stuff like that, and there's several option packages that you can add for this model, so we're certainly not fully loaded at this price point. And lastly, we'll talk about the fuel economy. So for this one, as equipped, is the 1.3 liter with front drive. It's going to be 31 combined. If you go for all-wheel drive, it drops down to 28. So keep that in mind.
But overall, this Trailblazer, it really is a strong offering inside of this class. As we've learned throughout this review, there's a lot of strong suits of this model, particularly in the fact that it's very spacious for a subcompact crossover. You have a lot of style and features that are available that a lot of the rivals are not offering. So I think if you're in the market for a subcompact crossover, you should definitely come and check out the Trailblazer because it really has a strong package.
Well guys, we really appreciate you watching this in-depth review of the 2021 Chevy Trailblazer Activ. If you made it this far in the video, I know that means you probably enjoyed watching, so be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It's completely free to you and it really helps us out. So be sure to do that, and also hit that notification bell to get notified on our most recent content. There's going to be a lot of really good stuff coming up, so you won't want to miss out. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.